Have you guys played this game called Metro 2033 is similar to Fallout, but it takes place in Russia, so life is automatically 10 times harder because everybody is poor. This includes the protagonist, who's just like you. Artyom has always been pushed around by his world. Never had a father, his mother was never around, and the worst part, he gets no bitches. His situation is like the taste of almond joy. It's fucking shit. It's like he came in last at the Special Olympics. In situations like these, a man just says enough is enough, and decides he needs change. That's where Hunter comes in. He's the man that Artyom looks up to. The two of them have a similar relationship to that of Tate and Aiden Ross. But instead of ignoring Hunter's advice and getting hooked on lean, Artyom actually gets shit done.
By morning, you must get to police station and find a man named Miller.
Before his leave, he gives Artyom a mission. To stop being a little bitch and become a Sigma male. Like any man on a self-improvement journey, the first step is to go outside. The moment he steps outside, he gets knocked out by these tall, psychic black men. These things are important to the story, but for now, I'll ignore them. Once he wakes up from the assault, the first thing he notices is his shoes are gone. The next are these things. You can tell it took a bit of inspiration from Call of Duty Zombies because the guns and knife do absolutely no damage at all. It's like the developers gave me the dullest knife possible in order to make the game more intense. Well, at least it's not as bad as Fallout 3, where every gun has the accuracy of a WNBA player. After Artyom arrives at the station, he sits down and has a cold beer with the boys. Deep down, he knows he's been carrying the squad. So he has to set his profile offline in order to move to the next rank. It's the natural progression of every Apex Legends friendship. At this point, Artyom needs a new Apex buddy to continue his self-improvement journey.
This is all I got.
Which usually takes time because every Apex player I meet has the brain capacity of a toddler. But Artyom just so happens to be that guy. He leaves the bar and he practically walks into his new duo, Bourbon.
Andy? Some ammo. Great.
Bourbon. He's a pretty solid guy. He gets things done and doesn't mess around. He's exactly the kind of person Artyom needs watching his back and showing him around. He and Bourbon travel to the outside road and Russia looks exactly how I expect Russia to look like in real life. Russia is always portrayed as a third world country masquerading as a first world country in movies and TV, which I mean it is. Life's hard in Russia. You have a shitty government, poverty, and the occasional missile strike that blows up your family members. This mission stood out because it was difficult. Though I think most of the difficulty came from the fact that I sold my SMG and all my ammo in order to buy a stock for my revolver. I know it wasn't the most brilliant idea, but at the moment it just felt like the right thing to do. Many times I would kill a horde of plague hounds with my knife only to walk into a nest and have to repeat the whole fucking process again. The experience was really enhanced when I started running into these hairless. They would pick me up and drop me over and over and over again, and I couldn't do anything since I had no ammo and I couldn't melee them. But alas, after spending half an hour looking for a way to get past this hellspawn, I was able to find Bourbon. Here Artyom gets introduced into some of Bourbon's old Apex teammates. They're not exactly happy that he abandoned them for a better teammate, so naturally they break his nose and throw him in jail. The Russians just have a different way of handling problems. In the States, we bomb our problems. When Russians have a problem, they put them to work. It sets off the game's stealth mission. The thing about this game's stealth mechanic is that it's like the Geneva Convention. It's a suggestion. If you want to commit a war crime, go ahead, knock an enemy out, and set him on fire. Even if you want to be stealthy, it wouldn't be much fun since developers lobotomize every single enemy in the game. They made sure to sever the connection between the brain and the eyes so they can't see you from a foot away. After Artyom finishes doing his tomfoolery, he enters the room where Bourbon is being held, and all goes well. Bourbon breaks free of his captor and gets hold of his gun.
Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!
Congratulations!
I made sure to give him a proper Viking funeral. As I mentioned before, Artyom is that guy, so he immediately found a replacement. But it just didn't hit the same. Honestly, I wouldn't even notice if this guy disappeared. And once Artyom reaches Paulus, he finally meets Miller. There's been an overarching threat following Artyom from the moment the game started. The tall black man. In the game, they're called the Dark Ones. They're responsible for multiple of Artyom's problems. Knowing what needed to be done, Artyom informs Miller of the Dark One's threatful existence. In response, Miller takes the German approach and decides that the only way to save humanity is to wipe out an entire race. His plan consists of getting a 25 kill streak and launching a nuke at Russia's capital, which should be pretty easy. Russia infamously has the most overrated defenses. You could practically land a Cessna on Red Square, or build an army, invade, and get all the way to Moscow before freezing to death. Before you can even think of launching nukes, there's something else that needs to be done. Something extremely vital to the mission. A problem that needs fixing. He doesn't have the nukes. Well, where can he get them? How the fuck should I know? But what he does know is that the information needed to find a missile bunker is probably in the Moscow library. In Metro Exodus, Artyom fights enemies called the Blind Ones. They look like gorillas, but in the mission library, Artyom fights librarians who also resemble gorillas. So, are the librarians blind ones, or are the blind ones blind librarians? I myself can't tell you the answer, but what I can tell you is that both of them bear a resemblance to the infested barbarian. The barbarian is an enemy in Dark Souls. He isn't really all that cool, but you know what is? Sense Fortress. You know what Sense Fortress had? Snake people. Snake people that we never really see again except in the Duke's archives, which coincidentally is also a library. So if there's these two connections, does that mean Metro 2033 takes place in the Dark Souls universe? Also, these things are terrifying. Imagine being stuck in a gorilla enclosure with a pissed off gorilla that looks like it hasn't in a while. We also got a cutscene of the librarian killing a demon, which I thought was the strongest enemy in the game. As you can already tell, the killing these things was a pain. Once you get to the end of the mission, Artyom is able to acquire the information he needs in order to get to D6, which houses the missiles that Miller is going to use to destroy the Dark Ones. So, Artyom and the boys were able to activate the D6 bunker and get to the nukes, but it's only created more problems for the plan. For some reason, they can't aim the missiles from the bunker. The only way to take out the Dark Ones is to travel to the highest point in Moscow, set up this little device to signal the missiles to strike. Should be a pretty easy task. It might not look like it, but it is by far one of the simplest missions. The mission is basically a platform mixed with a bunch of hallucinations. I myself am not a fan of the hallucinations, because all it takes is one wrong move and Artyom throws himself off the tower like a depressed teenager. After Artyom beats the Dark One, he was able to set up a missile beacon. When he was faced with a problem, Artyom didn't complain or cry. He just did what he had to do. At his core, he's a self-insert character who does everything you don't want to do, because you're a little bitch.